The story kicks off in a training gym where Snappy moves Echko across the court floor. Two fists clash hard during a seriously intense brawl. Soo-hong presses his sparing buddy, landing a rapid combo against his defense. Stepping back in pain, the other guy complains that the last hit hurt like crazy. Impressed, he notices his friend's improvement and asks about his technique level. But Soo-hong drops the mix, saying he hit subtle mastery 2 days ago. This ability is the third of the 5 power levels in this world's martial arts. Hype. The friend gives a thumbs up and guarantees nobody in class can even touch the MC in this specific move. Wasting zero time, our boy gets right back into a fighting stance, asking if recess is over so they can throw hands again. His buddy bolts for the locker room, calling him a total maniac and saying he's going home to grab some grub. On his way out, the guy waves bye to Professor Lee, who tells him to put some proper clothes on before wandering around. The instructor then walks up to Soo-hong and brings up his martial division application. He asks why he hasn't paid the 30,000 yuan fee yet since the deadline is coming up next Monday. The kid tries to ask for a few more days, but the teacher pies his family's financial struggles and reminds him that rules are rules. A heavy silence totally takes over the room after that flat-out rejection. Standing all alone in the middle of a giant court, the harsh reality of the kid's situation hits hard. Now by himself, the boy punches the air in pure frustration, stressing nonstop about the 30,000 yuan he desperately needs to scrape together. He flashes back to when he lost his folks during a wild beast incident at just 3 years old. Ever since, he was taken in by his aunt and uncle, who bet everything on his training the second they noticed his natural fighting talent. After all, in this era overrun by terrifying monsters, martial artists are the folks raking in the most stuff in the world. Even though he trains to give them a better life, the kid feels a massive burden, thinking he's just making things harder for his own family. Later on, night falls over the humble apartment complex where our boy lives. Standing right outside his door, he overhears his uncle suggesting they delay rent so they can cover their nephew's entrance fee first. The man believes in Soo-hong's potential so much that he refuses to be a roadblock in the kid's bright future. The aunt even suggests skipping her own meds to save cash, but her husband shuts that down and promises to pick up an extra gig to pay the bills. Listening to all this quiet sacrifice from the hallway, the MC's heart completely shatters. He gives his own cheeks a couple of slaps to snap out of the gloom and fix his posture before walking into the living room. Faking a smile like everything's fine, he greets his family, and his aunt immediately fusses over how exhausted he looks from training so late. They practically shove the kid toward his bedroom, babying him so he can recharge his batteries for the next day. The late hours roll by as the pale moonlight hits his quiet bedroom window. Tossing and turning in bed, he decides his aunt and uncle have done way too much already and that he's fixing this money issue himself. Brainstorming a quick way to score tens of thousands of coins in just a few days, Soo-hong figures there's really only one way out. The next morning, the sunlight bounces off the imposing front of a downtown building. Welcome to the Underground Fight Club, where the announcer hypes up the crowd for a brutal no-holds-barred challenge where only pulling off a win keeps you breathing. In the center of the ring, the host introduces the current arena superstar, a dude known as Minotaur. Rocking a red horn mask, the MC locks his eyes on the 60,000 prize money reserved for whoever bags 4 straight wins. Up in the stands, the crowd totally trashes the masked rookie, thinking he's booking a one-way ticket to Snooze Town by taking on this crazy challenge. The organizer nudges the kid and tells him to hype the crowd, leaving him totally clueless on how to even do that. Annoyed by his rookie vibes, she schools him, saying he needs to talk some serious trash to get the gamblers' attention. Getting the memo, he puffs out his chest and screams that he's unbeatable against anyone below an official martial artist rank. The trash talk works like a charm, making the audience furious and itching to see the newbie get absolutely wrecked in a ring. Loving the chaos, the host finally kicks off the match while the entire gym demands the MC get sent packing. Keeping his cool, the boy analyzes the aggressive vibe of the room and trusts his special technique will secure his tuition money. Right out the gate, a massive myth head lunges at Soo-hong, promising to teach the cocky rookie a lesson. Reading the charge like a book, the MC spots holes in the guy's stance and figures this is going to be a walk in the park. The enemy swings a heavy haymaker, trashing the kid for looking spaced out in the middle of a do-or-die showdown. Without breaking a sweat, Soo-hong smoothly dodges the attack at the very last second. Taking full advantage of the wide-open guard, he counters with a flawless strike right to the big guy's jaw. Thanks to the devastating impact, his opponent gets launched backward through the air like a literal rag doll. The giant hits the canvas out cold, and the host immediately calls the first win for our masked hero. The crowd is absolutely shook by how easy that knockout was, flipping their mood from pure disrespect to total shock. A new scar-covered challenger steps into the ring, claiming the rookie's lucky streak ends right here, right now. Cocky as ever, the MC tells the guy to bring it on, wanting to use this big dude to test the max damage of his special punch. With that, the muscular blonde charges in full throttle, launching a fierce attack straight at the kid. The two clash fists with insane brutality, creating a shockwave that completely sweeps the court. Despite feeling the crazy pressure of the hit, the enemy thinks his raw physical strength is still way beyond the newbies. But absorbing the hit like it's nothing, the kid perfectly lands a rapid counter right in the myth's face. He notices the opponent's over. The top stance left his waist area completely wide open for a finisher. Wasting no time, our hero sinks his fist into the enemy's gut with some absolutely ridiculous concentrated power. The hit is so brutal, it launches the blonde to the other side of the arena, leaving everyone's jaws on the floor at the sheer force of the attack. Another body hits the floor, and the hyped-up organizer screams out the hero's second consecutive win. The flashy screen outside the club keeps pulling people off the street to watch the spectacular brawl going down inside. Up in the VIP section, a bunch of rich dudes watch the show, pointing out that the kid is terrifyingly strong for someone with no official rank. The announcer calls the third straight win, making the suits start plotting how to use the boy to rig future matches. The big boss tells his lackey to go recruit the kid right in the ring, but warns him to hide his own advanced strength during the fight. Meanwhile, catching his breath in the center of the arena, the hero figures his refined technique is just too much for average fighters in this division. Staring down the final stretch, he gets pumped, knowing he only needs one more knockout to bag that 60,000 cash prize. Out of nowhere, a fighter in a suit wearing a white fox mask shows up, leaving everyone totally confused by the interruption. In GT, the crowd instantly recognizes the suit is pretty much at a master tier, calling this fight a total scam against the kid. Realizing this guy is a way bigger threat, the MC grits his teeth and swears there's no way he can afford to lose this. On the flip side, the suited opponent keeps a cocky stance, completely confident in his ridiculous advantage. Looking totally chill, the bad guy adjusts his outfit and makes it very clear he's in full control of his top-tier skills. The two square up face-to-face, kicking off the final round for the giant cash prize. The second the match starts, they rush each other in a super aggressive clash right in the middle of the gym, knowing he's totally outclassed in levels. The kid decides to dump all his energy into the very first strike to try and catch him off guard. Their fists finally collide in an insane explosion, shaking the whole arena from the crushing impact of that final showdown. Feeling the ridiculous force of the hit, Soo-hong instantly realizes this enemy's strength isn't from some average brawler. He immediately gets that the suit is a real-deal martial artist who's holding back his power on purpose. Across from him, the fox-masked rival takes a breath and winds up his ultimate technique. Wasting no time, the villain goes all out and lands a devastating combo straight onto the MC. The shock is so intense that the kid spits red, absolutely stunned by the raw power of this level. Up in the bleachers, the crowd recognizes the advanced move and pretty much writes the rookie off as a goner. Pressing the attack nonstop, the suit mocks the situation and tells the kid to stop blocking and actually fight. Our hero puts 100% of his focus into blocking the heavy hits, knowing if he keeps this up, he's going to lose big time. Using the bad guy's aggression against him, he waits patiently for the absolute perfect second to land a counter. Right then, the opponent throws another heavy punch that stops right on the MC's tight guard. Taking advantage of the gap created by being so close, Soo-hong fires his own fist at top speed. The flawless strike hits the suit right on the money, launching his body to the other side of the ring. Even though he landed the hit, the kid is completely drained and feels himself about to pass out. But the villain just lands easily on his feet and sarcastically drops the bomb that the prize money for this fight is exactly 0. He suggests the rookie agrees to throw his bites in exchange for the cash, but Soo-hong instantly rejects the shy deal. The masked dude tells him to think it over, guaranteeing that saying no will bring some seriously heavy consequences. Not backing down an inch, the MC roasts the enemy's cowardly attitude and questions if they're even real martial artists. Pure annoyance takes over the suited guy's face as he finally gets the kid's hard. No. At that moment, the villain charges in with pure rage, promising to end the rookie once and for all. But with eyes shining full of determination, Soo-hong focuses on his ultimate goal of reaching the top of the martial arts world. The suit throws an aggressive flying kick, but our hero slides quickly across the floor to dodge it. Suddenly, a mysterious vibe wraps around the boy, and a voice asks if he's willing to pay the toll, to which he agrees to give it his all. In the blink of an eye, the entire scene vanishes, and the MC finds himself floating in a pitch-black space. Totally confused by the sudden switch up, he looks around, trying to figure out what kind of bizarre place this is. Right in front of him, a massive glowing entity pops out of nowhere, lighting up the whole void. The towering figure stares the boy down and states it's going to grant him the chance he's been desperately looking for. With that promise, an intense light slices through the room, turning the dark void into a golden hall. Just then, a massive holographic screen floats up and parks right in front of our amazed hero. Taking a closer look, he realizes the panel is showing all his physical stats and the techniques he knows. Hooked on the tech, he tries tapping the glowing interface to figure out how this weird system works. The boy then selects the first available quest on the bright panel just to test the waters. The screen explains that time in the real world is totally frozen while he trains here to perfect his moves. He gets curious about the promised reward just as an identical glowing clone starts materializing right next to him. Giving him zero time to think, the perfect copy drops into a fighting stance with crazy speed. The clone throws a violent punch that tears through the air, showing off some terrifying mastery of the technique. Studying the movement, the kid notices the copy is using his very own special punch, but absolutely flawlessly. Super hyped by the showcase, he sees this as a golden ticket to perfect his personal style. Without missing a beat, the hero clenches his fist and fires the exact same attack, trying to mimic the clone's precision. The two start training side by side with the boy mirroring every single detail of the glowing copy's form. But during a rapid combo, the MC messes up his guard and ends up eating dirt in the practice round. Even after the fail, the glowing copy steps back to its starting stance, waiting for the kid's next attempt. Checking the panel, he gets a jump scare, seeing his proficiency in the move has already spiked to 10%. That's when it finally clicks that this virtual space is the ultimate cheat code to level up his skills in a flash. Determined to squeeze every drop out of the system, the boy rushes the clone in a chaotic flurry of blows. The hardcore training rolls on with our hero spamming attacks until he's breathless while the numbers on the screen just keep ticking up. The MC's stubborn grind pushes his mastery of his techniques closer and closer to max level. Right then, he pulls off a flawless palm strike, hitting total mastery of the move in a burst of pure energy. Immediately after, the kid speeds up his footwork across the Golden Hall and completely masters his movement technique. To top it all off, he lands an ultimate punch on the clone, maxing out his main weapon. With every skill totally maxed out, he stands panting in the middle of the room, feeling the burn of that extreme workout. Loving the results, the boy thanks the copy and the panel asks if he wants to head back to the real world. In a flash, time unfreezes in the arena, and our hero pops back in, staring down the suited villain. Clueless to what just happened, the enemy talks trash about the kid's silence and throws another lightning-fast punch right in his face. Riding the momentum, the suit unleashes a brutal combo of electric attacks, trying to crush his rival's guard. However, the MC dodges the hits with ridiculous ease, finding the enemy's speed totally pathetic now. The fox-masked villain starts sweating bullets, absolutely shook that he's just punching thin air. Flexing his new mastery, our hero sinks a devastating punch straight into the opponent's face, completely shattering his mask. The force of the impact is so monstrous that the young fighter's dominant presence totally takes over the court. The sheer violence of the counter-attack leaves the entire audience in dead silence and pure disbelief. With the suit knocked out cold on the floor, the masked rookie stands tall, claiming absolute victory in the arena. Breaking the heavy tension, the champ looks right at the host and demands the cash prize he just rightfully earned. Up in the VIP section, the rich boss holds a glass of wine, totally blown away by the advanced technical mastery of a mere rookie. Super interested in the kid's talent, the boss orders his security to tail the fighter and figure out who he really is. While our hero is just taking a chill walk through the dark city alleys, heading back home. With his senses dialed up, he quickly picks up on the vibe of some shady dudes tailing him down the empty street. The lackeys sneak up to the dark corner, only to realize their target has completely vanished into thin air. The guys look around nervously, knowing they have to finish the boss job no matter what. Way up above them, the MC is chilling on the alley walls, roasting their pathetic attempt at tracking him. After totally ditching the spies, the quiet night settles over his humble apartment complex. An hour later, the lights in his family's tiny place flip on, confirming the young fighter made it back safe and sound. In the living room, his uncle's eyes pop out of his head, looking at the massive pile of cash on the table, asking if his nephew robbed a bank. To keep his family from freaking out, the kid makes up a story that the dojo master was blown away by his talent and sponsored the cash. The next day, the school routine is back to normal with a packed gym full of students ready for morning practice. In the middle of the crowd, classmates are whispering and gossiping, trying to figure out why one of the students showed up looking so beat up. Some kid spills the tea that the guy broke some equipment and took the fall for it, while the principal yells for everyone to shut up. Up on the gym stage, the principal introduces Chenny, a rank 3 martial artist brought in to teach a rank C technique called Thunder Fist. The students are hyped to see a master of that level, whispering about how dojos charge an arm and a leg to teach this outside of school. Watching the scene, Soo-hong remembers the masked villain used this exact same move and respects how crazy strong that impact was. Knowing the insane fees charged out in the real world, the MC decides he absolutely cannot let this huge opportunity slip by. The master cuts the chatter, announcing he'll demonstrate the move 10 times, and the rest is purely up to their own hustle. With that, the instructor steps forward, dropping into a flawless combat stance. He throws a violent punch, explaining that the technique is fierce, and, at the basic level, lets out a loud crack of thunder. Continuing his lesson, he details that the proficient level creates 3 sounds, and the subtle level hits 5 consecutive sonic booms, releasing some crazy energy into the gym. Chinchin brags that his current mastery is at the master tier, dropping 7 sounds per hit. He brings up that the perfect realm hits 9 sounds, but warns the kids not to dream too big since just getting the basics is more than enough. Starting the second showcase, the master tells the class to follow along, kicking off a total mess of students trying to copy his poses. Several hours later, the crowd collapses on the floor purely from exhaustion, whining that getting the hang of this technique is completely impossible. One of the guys sits on the court panting, depressed that rank C skills are just way too hard to learn. Looking around for his buddy, he notices Soo-hong has randomly disappeared right as a massive boom echoes through the entire building. Totally pumped, the student Chinchan celebrates hitting the basic level while his classmates hype him up for being super smart. The principal glazes the kid, calling him the school genius, but the master just scoffs, thinking those results are barely acceptable by his standards. The conversation spills over outside the main school facility. Chinchin complains that the class is way too weak and that he wasted his time since just getting the basics down doesn't make anyone a real prodigy. Walking through the courtyard, he doubles down that martial cultivation is brutal and hard work alone never beats a lack of natural talent. Out of nowhere, a rapid-fire string of violent sonic booms stops the teachers dead in their tracks. Nearby, Soo-hong is training solo and totally shocks someone watching when a mere student manages to pull off 7 sounds. Throwing punches nonstop, the MC hits 9 sounds, leaving the master absolutely flabbergasted at that level of mastery in so little time. The teachers are frozen stiff, listening to the explosions from the court, while the principal asks if he just hallucinated hearing 9 ridiculous impacts. Riding high on this discovery, the master claims he finally gets the missing piece to his own personal training. He clenches his fist, sparking up pure destructive energy right in his hands. Without a second thought, he fires off the technique with a fresh burst of energy and surprising aggression. Super stoked about hitting 8 sounds, he thanks the student for the inspiration that helped him break his Play-Doh after being stuck for so long. Ignoring the chit-chat, Chin Tian takes off sprinting across the courtyard like a madman to find out who this mystery prodigy is. But when they get to the empty training court, they're left scratching their heads, looking for whoever pulled off that crazy stunt. Far away from there, the kid is already running through the streets, totally gassed, feeling the heavy toll on his body from practicing such an advanced move. Checking the pop-ups on his system, our hero notices he maxed out the technique and figures he needs some friendly sparring matches to farm martial points. Sticking to his speedrun evolution plan, he rocks up to the imposing entrance of the Furious Thunder Dojo downtown. Inside, it's pure chaos with students aggressively trading loud hits using training spears and staffs. A classmate walks up asking why he's dropping by out of nowhere, and the kid just chills and says he came to get some practice in. Right then, some cocky purple-haired fighter kicks a student in the chest, violently launching the poor guy into the wooden floor. The bully roasts the losers, telling them to stop blaming the master's classes and just accept that they're too weak to learn how to fight. Soo-hong asks what the heck is going on, and the buddy explains the new instructor is strong, but teaches like he doesn't care and completely looks down on the broke kids. He also nervously warns him that this guy's disciple, Lian, is crazy dangerous and shows zero mercy in spars. Overhearing the side convo, the purple-haired punk tries to provoke our hero, doubting he's got what it takes to handle a real challenge. With absolutely zero warning, the jerk lunges in, throwing a fast punch straight for the newcomer's face. The MC blocks the hit like it's the easiest thing in the world and politely asks the rival to drop the drama right there. Ticked off by the solid block, Leanne tells him to throw hands and challenges him to an onion in the arena, which the kid accepts in a heartbeat. Just as things get tense, the arrogant master walks in, demanding absolute silence because his class is about to start. Following the boss orders, the disciple backs off slowly, warning the newbie that he got insanely lucky to dodge a beatdown this time. Looking at the cocky attitude of both instructors, our hero gets super annoyed by the ridiculous amount of arrogance stinking up the dojo. The jerk master announces with a superiority complex that this is the final day for the spear technique, and he's only showing it once. With an incredibly smooth and precise spin, he executes the move, slicing the air in front of a totally focused class. Perfectly copying the stance he just saw, Su Hong tests out the weapon and instantly hits the proficient level via his system. The tip of the kid's spear obliterates the tough training dummy with a clean, fast, and completely devastating impact. Shook by the ridiculous progress of a total rookie, Lu Yin goes on the offensive, swinging his own spear with pure hate. The two weapons aggressively clash in midair, sparking intense energy all over the packed training hall. Getting fresh points on his glowing panel, the hero celebrates, confirming that friendly spars pay out the exact rewards he needs. Totally outclassed in the exchange, the rival drops to his knees, muttering that it's physically impossible for someone to master the move that fast. Panic completely takes over the fighter as he thinks all his years of blood, sweat, and tears were completely useless. Completely losing his mind, he drops the broken spear and charges in barehanded, trying to hit the MC however he can. The boy wins up a clean punch to end the fight for good, but the instructor screams in a panic, demanding they stop right now. The master rushes to the center of the court, breaking up the nasty brawl before things go from bad to worse. Showing zero pity, the older guy slaps the taste out of his disciple's mouth, chewing him out hard for not knowing how to take an L. The bully turns his face away, feeling the sting of the hit and the crushing weight of getting publicly humiliated in front of looking at the spear stuck in the wooden floor. The teacher admits he's impressed the rookie learned it all just by watching him do it once. Flipping his attitude real quick, the master apologizes for the mess and says getting beat by a true genius will build some serious character for his student. The MC starts sweating, clearly seeing through the fake vibes and how fast this teacher switches up just when it's convenient. Walking back home through the empty night streets, he feels super heavy, but admits today's grind was totally worth it. Checking out his new rewards floating on the system, the young guy is hyped to have picked up 2 fresh techniques in one go. The next day, in front of school, he figures he desperately needs an alloy weapon to level the playing field against the rich kids in a practical exam. Shadow boxing a firm grip on an invisible spear, he decides he's going to invest in some piercing gear for the test. But checking his bank app, he realizes his cash barely covers his aunt's expensive meds, meaning buying the weapon is a no-go. Standing outside some random shop, the boy racks his brain, trying to find a quick side hustle to fund his training. He then spots a flyer in the window, looking for gutsy martial artists to hunt beasts in the outskirts in exchange for massive payouts. Hooked by the crazy amount of cash offered, he seriously considers risking his neck fighting terrifying monsters outside the city walls. Afternoon rolls in nicely, painting the windows of his family's apartment complex with a chill orange sunset vibe. In the living room, the aunt gets on her husband's case for working nonstop, but he insists they got to save every penny for their nephew's future. Walking in right in the middle of the bickering, the hero greets his folks, killing the tension and breaking up the loving couple's little argument. He grabs the heavy groceries from her hands, telling her to go chill on the couch, showing total respect and unconditional love for his family. The kid firmly insists he can totally pay the bills by himself now, but his uncle just laughs, slaps his shoulder, and says he can't sit around doing nothing. The uncle flashes a smile and gives a thumbs up, promising he won't work himself to death doing odd jobs. Adding to that, the aunt sweetly mentions they need to save as much as humanly possible for their nephew's bright future. Staring at his phone, Su Hong thinks about how his family is so used to being broke that they'll never relax unless there's cash in the bank. He coldly concludes he absolutely cannot pass up this golden opportunity to farm cash fast by hunting beasts. Knowing how insanely dangerous the wild zones are, the kid decides to dump all his save points into vitality just to stay safe. With heavy energy rushing through his veins, he notices he's just one step away from officially becoming a real martial artist. 2 full days of hardcore training go by, and the MC finally hits perfection on every single one of his techniques. Panting from a nonstop grind, he realizes his prep is finally done and it's time to make moves. That same Saturday morning, the kid rocks up to the massive martial artist base, thinking the walk over was kind of tiring. Strolling through the place, he mentions he's seen this building on TV a million times, but it's his first time here in person. The spot is totally packed with massive armed fighters, the kind of folks you almost never bump into around the city. Scanning the holographic board at the desk, our hero finds out that advanced beasts can pay out up to 9,000 blue coins. But he thinks the bounty system is kind of nasty and primitive since you gotta hack off the monster's ear as proof of the kill. Waiting in a line at the counter, the rookie watches a hunter hand over a massive stuff bag for the clerk to appraise. Suddenly, an aggressive shout echoes through the crowded lobby, telling everyone to get the heck out of the way immediately. With that, the MC spots a cocky group walking up, and the crowd instantly recognizes the presence of the young master, E. Staring down the rich kid in the suit, he catches a familiar vibe and instantly remembers the White Fox mask guy from the underground fight club. The crowd gossip about how this rich kid's uncle got completely wrecked a few days ago, and the boy finds it hilarious, thinking it was well-deserved. Not wanting to start drama this early, the hero turns around and sneaks off in the opposite direction. Behind him, the cocky rich kid smirks, acting like he smells something fishy in the air. Out in the dangerous wild zone, a giant white wolf lunges fiercely, trying to turn the off-guard rookie into a snack. Keeping totally chill, Su Hong slides quickly across the ground, dodging the lethal attack at the absolute last second. He focuses his energy in his hand, winding up the thunder technique to max power for a counter. Taking advantage of the beast's wide, open guard, the kid sinks his electric fist right into the wolf's body with ridiculous violence. The impact launches the monster into the air, making it crash hard into a faraway tree across the forest. Checking out the downed carcass, our hero realizes hunting monsters in real life is way more hype than he thought. Shaking from pure adrenaline, the rookie checks his own fists, feeling the rush of victory pumping through his veins. Since he dropped the beast with a single basic hit, the urge to test his strength against something scarier takes over. Right on cue, a massive mid-tier black bear pops up behind him, letting out a deafening roar. Without losing his cocky vibe, the MC handles business fast and decides that monsters at this level are basically zero threat. Crouched next to the furry bear carcass, he chops off its ear, celebrating a guaranteed 3,000 in the bag. The system then chimes, letting him know he's finally got enough points to officially become a real-deal martial artist. Suddenly, a terrifying, powerful roar echoes through the dense forest, giving the kid a total jump scare. Feeling an insanely heavy aura spreading out, the hero starts sweating bullets, trying to guess what kind of freak monster is nearby. Driven by curiosity, the fighter hops nimbly across the thick tree branches to go check out what all the fuss is about. Landing super quietly on top of a tall rock, the rookie peeks into the clearing to scope out the tense situation below. Pure shock hits his face the second he recognizes the ridiculous creature totally trashing the whole area. A massive black jade python is violently attacking a cornered squad of hunters right in the middle of the woods. The freakish snake charges in full force, crushing the shield of a warrior who is screaming in absolute panic. Thanks to the monstrous force of the hit, the poor dude gets launched like a rock straight into the cliff face. Seeing the whole thing going south, the purple-haired squad leader screams, desperate orders to hold the line. He jumps in bravely, launching a piercing attack with his spear against the wild beast's tough scales. But the snake is way faster, whipping its thick tail and sweeping the ground with insane violence. Caught completely off guard by the crazy fast defense, the leader can't dodge and eats a brutal hit to the body. The impact kicks up a massive cloud of dust while the beast keeps smashing the terrain with zero mercy. The squad leader hits the dirt, critically injured, while the kid watches the whole mess, hiding tense up on the rock. Judging the nasty situation, the MC wipes his face and makes a risky call to try and jump into the bloodbath. He sneaks his way down to the busted ground and borrows the spear from the knocked-out hunter's hands, gripping the weapon like his life depends on it. The hero steps right into the snake's line of sight, getting the monster's attention. Pissed off by this bold new snack, the giant snake unhinges its jaw and lunges in for a lethal strike. Flexing his newly upgraded agility, Su Hong backflips fast, dodging the jaws that completely shatter the ground. Backing up to a safe distance, the boy thinks to himself that he'd need an entire squad to take out a beast this advanced. Still trusting his maxed-out techniques 100%. He knows he can throw down if he plays it super smart. Using his perfect tier void step, the young guy pulls off a ridiculous jump, sailing right over the snake's attack. From way up there, he spins midair and fires off a flawless spear strike loaded with heavy blue energy. The sharp tip hits the beast's thick scales, kicking off intense, bright sparks, but it fails to cut too deep. feeling the heavy pressure of a direct hit. The black jade python lets out a high-pitched hiss of pure rage. The giant monster twists its massive body super fast, trying to crush the cocky hunter while he's still in the air. The kid grips the wooden handle super tight, prepping his next emergency dodge. He sticks the landing perfectly, totally safe and wrapped in his flawless combat aura. Ready for round 2, giving the monster absolutely zero time to catch its breath. The hero locks eyes and invites the beast to get aggressive again. He channels every ounce of energy into his spear and unleashes a violent thrust, spawning a destructive water tornado. The brutal impact hits dead on, making the giant snake W in crazy pain right there in the clearing. Freaking out from the damage, the snake whips its tail like a maniac, smashing rocks while the kid dodges the heavy swings. Sliding across the dirt field, he figures the size difference is total BS, and he needs to gas the beast out first. A massive shadow suddenly covers the boy, and he drops low, scraping his back on the dirt to dodge the lethal tail. Spotting a tiny but precious opening, the MC goes bare-handed and fires a thunder punch right on target. The second the electric hit deals damage, he grabs his weapon back and backs up fast, putting a solid chunk of space between him and the enemy. Keeping his strategy cold and calculated, the young guy repeats the cycle of hitting weak spots and vanishing from the beast's sight. While this hardcore brawl is going down in the woods, young Master Yi's squad finally shows up at the disaster zone. The rich suit finds it hilarious seeing our hero fighting solo and bets all his money that the kid is going to bite the dust right there. But the laughs stop fast when he sees the rookie has actually left an advanced beast looking totally wrecked. Su Hong spots the snobby intruders rolling up and finds it super sus that they managed to track down a dangerous monster this fast. With zero warning, a myth head from the enemy squad jumps at the kid's back, following his boss's orders to attack. Realizing how incredibly cowardly that backstab was, the MC's eyes go completely dark with pure rage. Staring down the lackey, Su Hong lets him know he only got pushed because of sneak attack and asks if they seriously think they can take him. Not wasting a second, the boy fires off a devastating electric punch straight into the cocky enemy's chest. The mass brute feels the terrifying force of the hit, crushing his body, totally unable to defend himself. Using the opening, the MC sinks another violent hit, launching the enemy straight into the air. The lackey crashes hard into the busted ground right in front of the freaked out hunting squad. Checking out the move he just used, one of the hunters instantly recognizes the punch and confirms the rookie is the famous Minotaur from the arena. Our hero shifts his focus to young Master Yi and instantly clocks him as the White Fox mask guy. Keeping up his arrogant vibe, the rich kid mentions the boy was the first person to ever humiliate him that badly in front of a crowd. Bossing his goons around, the villain literally just points a finger and gives the cold order to take out the MC. The rookie quickly jumps back, scaling the rocky cliff face while the enemies scream at each other to go after him. Once deep in the thick jungle, the lackeys search for their target, telling each other to watch out for forest ambushes. One of the mercs totally disrespects the warning, thinking it's ridiculous to be scared of one guy when they have a whole squad. In the blink of an eye, Su Hong pops up like a ninja, cutting through the wind right behind the distracted enemy. The hero's eyes glow intensely in the dark, spotting the fatal flaw in his opponent's defense. Delivering a brutal electric strike, he crushes the hunter against the ground, kicking up a massive cloud of dust and debris. The Morka's body drops, completely knocked out and bloody, right in the middle of the thick brush. Annoyed by losing a guy so fast, young Master Y curses the whole situation, having zero clue how the kid is so insanely fast. The goons step in front of their boss to protect him, completely shook after recognizing the thunder punch at a ridiculous level of perfection. The rich kid tells them all to shut up while shaking with nerves, thinking it's totally impossible for someone to max out those techniques. Watching the whole thing from up on a branch, our hero figures he could have crushed them all in a straight fight if he wasn't so gassed from the giant snake. With no gas left in the tank to fight the whole squad at once, he decides to hop through the trees and pick them off one by one with quick ambushes. Moving like actual lightning, the young guy hits another MK's back with his spear before the dude can even blink. Immediately after, he follows up with a massive kick straight to the face of another hunter standing right next to him. The hit lands perfectly and violently throws the brute backward into the bushes with a destructive electric shock. Keeping the lethal combo going, the kid slices up another opponent who hits the dirt bleeding bad, freaking out over the rapid-fire massacre. The lackeys beg their boss to run away, but the villain thinks this is some sick joke. Staring at the rookie taking apart his team, the suit swears to himself that he's taking this kid out today, no matter what it takes. Seeing the MC charging in furious, Another goon steps up with a knife, trying to delay the lethal attack. But the kid completely ignores the pathetic defense and sinks his fist into the ground, creating a massive crater and shattering everything around them. Blown away by the destruction, the rich kid wonders how it's even possible for his enemy to get the strong in just a few days. Ignoring the down goons, the MC rushes straight at the enemy leader with ridiculous speed. Cornered and cursing his own bad luck, the suit drops into a fighting stance, knowing there's nowhere left to run. With his spear ready to pierce, Su-hong lets him know it's finally time for the rich boy to pay up for what he did. Blocking the attack with bare hands glowing in blue energy, the villain tells the kid not to get cocky, thinking he's already won. Just then, the young master fires a bunch of slicing blasts of pure energy straight from his fingers to push the hero back. With a fast and smooth spin, the rookie twirls his spear shaft, creating a shield to block the lethal shots. One of the blasts misses and hits a massive tree, splitting the trunk in half with a violent explosion of splinters. Keeping the pressure up, the suit spams shots, destroying the entire area with destructive blue lights. Dodging by the skin of his teeth, the boy admits that the enemy's advanced technique has got to be at least Class B. Far away from the chaos, the surviving squad members watch the mess, thinking the newbie is a total freak and trying to see if their boss already finished him off. Busting out of the smoke, our hero charges at the lackey with the giant sword while the villain chases him, swearing he'll never forgive him. Out of absolutely nowhere, the giant snake wakes up pissed right behind the sword guy, freezing the entire group in pure terror. The monster lunges, swallowing the swordsman in the blink of an eye, scoring the hero dozens of martial points for the indirect assist. Another hunter gets eaten alive while screaming, and the MC thinks it's awesome to farm easy XP by using the beast against them. Taking full advantage of the absolute chaos the monster caused, the young fighter books it to vanish into the deep jungle for good. Leaping away from the danger zone, he figures the points he racked up from these fights are finally enough to make him an official martial artist. Sticking the landing on a thick tree branch, he tells himself he needs to find a super secure spot to focus on leveling up. Scanning the rocky cliff ahead, the fighter spots a dark cave and decides that hole is the perfect heady. Wasting no time, the hero dives right into the rocky gap while the giant snake chases him, tearing up the dirt. The wild beast smashes its head with brute force into the tight entrance, shattering the rocks in a violent explosion of dust. Safe deep in the dark hideout, the boy breathes a sigh of relief, seeing the monster totally stuck in the narrow rocks at the entrance. Furious, the snake bares its sharp fangs, trying to shove its massive body through the hole in a useless attempt to reach its snack. Ignoring the crazy loud roars outside, the MC pops open his glowing interface to kick off his system's evolution process. Tapping the virtual panel anxiously, he quickly dumps all his points into the vitality stat to speed up his gains. With a massive boost in energy, the hero's body runs super hot, glowing deep red and feeling like actual lava is rushing through his veins. The panel finally locks in 100 max vitality points while the snake watches this totally bizarre scene unfold from outside. Bathed in an aura of colossal power, the young guy goes wild, celebrating that he broke the barrier and became a legit first-class martial artist. Turning away from the panel with his fist, sparking heavy energy. He glares at the beast with a killer look, letting it know it's his turn now. Launching out of the cave like a missile, the hero channels all his ridiculous new power straight into his right hand, ready to strike. The violent punch hits the giant snake dead on the chin, lifting its monstrous body with an absurdly devastating impact. The hit is so powerful, it creates a burst of yellow light, launching the heavy creature into the sky as it lets out a desperate roar. Giving the monster zero breathing room, the MC charges across the field, pulling up his special punch technique charge to the absolute max. He takes a massive leap, intercepting the snake midair before it can drop and snap out of the stun. Releasing a heavy wave of dark reddish energy, the boy sinks the attack into the beast's back with pure destructive intent. Even with a clean hit, the extreme effort makes the hero groan and spit a little red due to the insane tension on his muscles. Pushing his body to the absolute limit, he grips his spear incredibly tight, winding up the final strike to finish the job. The fighter dives from the sky, delivering a crushing slash that sends the jade serpent slamming back into the earth for good. The impact leaves a massive crater, burying the wild monster in the dirt with an explosion of soil and blue sparks. Dropping down right after, the young guy channels intense electricity through both hands, prepping a thunder move to completely crush his wounded prey. The brutal lightning combo shreds the snake's thick scales, making it scream in pure agony as it faces its final moments. The golden flash lights up that entire stretch of the forest, wiping out any tiny chance the giant creature had left to survive. Standing tall next to the map carcass, the winner proudly realizes he can now go toe-to-toe with high-level beasts without backing down. Chilling comfortably on his fresh kill, he scratches his head, trying to figure out how to claim his bounty since snakes don't exactly have left ears to chop off. Unable to find an easy way to lug the nasty trophy around, he just ditches the body there and decides to head back to the city before it gets dark. Strolling confidently down the thick forest trail, our MC leaves a trail of destruction behind him, carrying the weight of his new martial evolution. Staring at the suited guy's dead body on the ground, Su-hong figures that going out like that means the dude actually got super lucky. He immediately starts looting the dead guy's pockets, crossing his fingers to find the advanced technique he used in their fight earlier. The loot drop is a success, and the kid pulls out a mysterious book called Void-Piercing Finger. The scene cuts to a quiet cave with a giant defeated snake's body tossed in some dark water. Outside the hole, the cozy glow of a campfire lights up the freezing rocks. Chilling by the fire, the MC notes he's already memorized the basics of the new skill and is about to use the system to master it in record time. He logs into his virtual space and instantly summons the light clone to kick off the hardcore training. The glowing copy drops into the perfect stance and fires off the technique, unleashing some seriously strong blue energy. Tracking every flawless move, the boy watches his panel number shoot up, hitting nearly 100% mastery. With his eyes glowing in pure focus, our hero perfectly grasps the flow of power and unlocks the basic mastery of the strike. Coughing a bit from the ridiculous effort, he feels the heavy toll of practicing a B-tier move and decides to hunt a monster to test it out. 3 whole days go by in the woods until a terrifying giant bear roars aggressively asking for a fight. Without hesitating, the young guy fires the Void-Piercing Finger, ripping through the wild beast with a destructive blue blast. Drawn by all the noise, a suited guy walks up, super impressed that it took down a high-level beast all by himself. The woman next to him figures the boy is just basic level and accuses him of looting Master Yi's gear, demanding a search right then and there. The suited goons step up and box him in, warning the kid not to resist or things are going to get real ugly. Catching on to the threat, the young guy pulls his spear with crazy speed right through the smoke. The lightning-fast move totally spooks the mercs when they see the sharp tip aimed right at one of their throats. Keeping his cool 100%, Su-hong reveals he's a student at the city's #1 school and asks if they really have the guts to push this. The suit starts sweating, remembering that the school's principal is super protective of his students, and picking a fight with him is always a terrible idea. He realizes that the kid actually killed all those beasts. He's a dangerously genius prodigy, and ticking someone like that off just isn't worth it. Playing it cool, the leader claims his nephew got jumped and a secret family technique got stolen. He tries the diplomatic route, offering 10,000 coins in compensation just to search the kid's backpack. Proving he's no fool, the boy holds up 3 fingers, demanding 30,000 since they can't accuse him without any proof. Left with 0 options, the guys do a deep search of his bag right there on the dirt path. The lackey confirms he found absolutely nothing, forcing the boss to accept the deal and cuff up the 30,000 coins. Walking away, our MC breathes a huge sigh of relief for cleaning up his tracks just in time to avoid a massive headache. While the boss orders his squad to keep searching everyone, the kid plans to grab a shower and head straight to the Martial Artists Association. He kicks back in an underground hotel room, finally enjoying a well-deserved moment of peace. Popping open his system panel, the hero is shocked to see he farmed 530, 4 points after that whole forest massacre. He calculates that the initial stage burns 100 vitality points and figures he'll have about 40 left over before the mid-stage. Curious about his other stats, he decides to hold off on evolution and try dumping points in his spirit and mortal frame instead. The young guy drops dozens of points in his spirit, but gets totally bummed out when he doesn't feel a single change in his body. But the second he focuses on his mortal frame, his strength shoots up like crazy, so he decides to go all in on that. The stat hits 36%, wiping out his bar. While the system chimes to confirm the transfer is done. Hyped about his buffed-up frame, he decides to dump his next 200 points straight into his core vitality. Wasting 0 time, the boy pours all his leftovers right into the spirit tab, feeling an infinite amount of energy bubbling up. A red explosion takes over the room, making his body double in size with insanely terrifying hulking muscles, shrinking back to normal right after. He sits on the bed panting, super relieved he didn't get stuck looking like some bizarre method. An hour later, the massive Martial Artists Association building shines under the city's clear blue sky. Su-hong hits up the front desk, saying he's here for the exam, and the receptionist quickly says someone will escort him. An older guy points out the kid is way too young for his first test and warns him about the ridiculous requirements to pass. Skeptical of the solo kid, the veteran assumes he's just there to try his luck since he didn't even bring a master with him. Ignoring the trash talk, the hero's intense look shows he's more than ready to tackle this challenge. Inside the packed hall, a buzzer goes off, signaling that a candidate just failed after hitting 992 power. The system gives the green light to student Leeing with 105 vitality, and the examiner calls him up for the physical strength test. The cocky kid steps up to the giant machine, winding up a punch with some serious energy. He buries his fist into the target with everything he's got, setting off a loud boom in the room. The digital scoreboard lights up with 1,763 power, locking in his instant pass. The crowd's jaws drop as they hype up the guy's crazy strength and glaze Master Jiang Ming's training. Overhearing the chatter, the MC remembers another aggressive punk from that same dojo and wonders just how many annoying disciples this master actually has. The evaluator calls Su Hong up next while his rival just laughs at him sarcastically. Li Ming roasts the newbie, thinking it's pathetic for someone his age to even attempt the exam and compare himself to a genius like him. But the roasting stops dead in its tracks when he sees the hero's massive score on the machine and assumes the J is broken. The staffer announces Su Hong passed with 123 vitality, making the rich boy absolutely furious. Swallowing his tears, the rival claims vitality is useless and combat power is the only thing that actually matters. The physical test is about to kick off, and the kid casually walks up to the heavy equipment. Quietly doing the math on his ridiculous stats, he figures using just 40% of his strength is more than enough to clear it. A staffer congratulates the newbie on his success and asks him to head to the second floor to claim his prize. Before he can even move, another suit pops up in the hallway, announcing he'll be handling the kid personally. A blonde woman with serious boss energy walks down the hall being called president by the local staff. She stares the boy down and introduces herself as Wu Ling Xin, letting him know she runs the city's association. The MC follows her, totally shocked that a level 5 martial artist looks so different from what he pictured. Once inside the fancy meeting room, the woman casually drops that his school principal tried to hide his talent with sob stories. Chilling on the couch, she finds it impossible that such a trash school produced a raw genius without anyone noticing. Confused by the VIP treatment, the young guy asks why he's even there since he just came for his allowance and the promise technique. The blonde tells him to relax and sip a drink, promising her staff is already sorting out all the boring paperwork. She stands up with pure style, stating she's going to teach him the technique personally and asks what he knows about it. Thinking it over, the boy says school textbooks claim these skills are only good for absorbing worldly energy. The president kind of agrees, but sparks a flame in her hands to prove these moves are way more than just fancy meditation. Turning up the heat, she explains that the celestial flame buffs the body and massively upgrades the lethality of physical attacks. With a brutal flick, she projects the heat, launching a massive wave of fire that literally destroys the air right in front of the kid. The hero is absolutely stunned sitting on the couch since school never bothered to mention this technique was meant for actual combat. The woman lists the 7 main elements of energy, pointing out that thunder power is hands down the best for dealing massive damage. Wrapping up the lesson, she crosses her legs and drops the bomb that nobody chooses their technique. It all depends entirely on physical compatibility. The president grabs a glowing crystal ball, explaining it measures compatibility. Brighter light equals a higher level, and 80% is already insane. Handing the dark orb to the boy, she's super confident that a prodigy like him will easily blow past the 30% mark. Holding the crystal ball, our hero thinks 80% is a huge stretch considering the president herself is a genius and tapped out right there. Suddenly, a blinding red light explodes from the object right in his hands. The intense glow totally floods the room, leaving the woman shook when she sees his fire compatibility maxed out at 100%. She asks if the kid even grasps what that means, and he says no. The blonde explains he can absorb all fire energy with 0 waste. Using herself as an example, she notes she loses 2/10 of her energy, but that was still enough to hit level 5. Looking closely at the kid, the president guarantees his future is going to be even crazier. Completely baffled that a small town birthed a monster like him. But Su Hong just thinks fire is cool, but he heavily prefers the thunder element. Just like that, the crystal ball shifts colors and starts crackling with some heavy yellow electric energy. The whole room is filled with lightning while the two just sit in dead silence, staring at the glowing orb. Breaking the awkward tension, the boy awkwardly mentions his thunder affinity seems to be maxed out, too. The blonde is in total disbelief over a perfect double affinity, calling the kid an absolute freak of nature. Seconds later, Su-hong is holding the crystal glowing green, casually dropping that his wind element also hit 100%. The shock is so massive that a heavy silence completely takes over the luxury office while they both sit on the couch holding her own head. The blonde tries to process how ridiculous it is for all his affinities to be maxed. Thinking she's got to be dreaming, the woman thinks back to when she considered herself a top-tier prodigy, an extreme rarity in the martial world. But looking at someone who completely breaks all logic and common sense, she finally accepts she's just a normal person. She figures that in order to take down beings who break the rules of the world, only warriors who also defy common sense have any real shot at winning. Watching the kid chill on the couch, the president realizes he is exactly one of those anomalies that normal people will never understand. Meanwhile, the young guy thinks it's a massive waste to just stick with thunder and leave 6 other perfect elements sitting on the bench. With that in mind, he asks for a copy of all 7 elemental techniques, leaving the woman completely speechless. Ticked off, she scolds him, warning that human energy has limits and trying to grind everything at once is a recipe for absolute disaster. Our hero pushes back, insisting he wants to test drive all of them before picking his main, making the blonde cave, but warning him not to waste his talent. Changing the subject, Su-hong asks why she's suddenly so interested in him, pointing out that the school's monthly exam is right around the corner. The blonde explains the beast war is escalating. So, the nations are opening a special genius camp, and she wants to refer him for a spot. Later on, the kid is staring at his system screen, super curious about how he's going to level up these brand new orientation techniques. Trying to upgrade a skill, the panel buzzes that he's out of martial points. So, the young guy decides to focus on grinding resources later. Back in his room, he sits on the floor meditating, surrounded by the glowing manuals, kicking off his advanced training. Hours later, the energy of all 7 elements is rushing through his body. But the different attributes start violently rejecting each other. Swaying bullets from the pain, our hero finally gets why geniuses spent decades hard stuck at level 1 when trying to cultivate everything at once. Chilling on a roof at night, he holds flames in his hand and realizes spiritual energies only let you use 1 element at a time. Trying to force a second attribute to trigger at the same time, his body starts rejecting the super unstable mix. The repelling force causes a bright explosion, making the 2 powers aggressively clash and vanish into thin air. Keeping his cool, he spawns thunder and fire in his hands, figuring that elements with similar vibes might actually fuse. With a quick motion, the young guy claps his hands together, trying to force the pure fusion of the 2 volatile elements all at once. A chain of explosions lights up the building's roof, but he refuses to quit, swearing to keep at it until it works. The entire night passes, and the morning sun finally peaks over the city's apartment complex. Totally exhausted and panting, he stares at a tiny stable spark in his hands and focuses hard on keeping it together. Past his absolute limits, the MC screams, demanding the colossal energy to just merge once and for all. A violent boom echoes out as the flames and lightning finally weave together into a single mass of pure destructive power. Staring at the electric fireball resting in his palm, he celebrates his win after an entire night of back-to-back fails. Hyped about his lethal new weapon, the kid clenches his fist and decides to hit the streets to see how much damage this fusion can really do. The scene quick cuts to the massive martial arts plaza in Star City, soaking up the chill morning light. RMC walks up to a level 3 test robot, confident this advanced machine won't break too easily from his hits. He fires an explosive punch at the gear, remembering he used half his strength before, so now he's capping it at 30%. The scoreboard flashes over 2,300 points, totally shocking the hero, who was expecting a way lower number. Checking out the damage, he summons only thunder energy just to compare the ridiculous power difference in his hand. He spawns the aggressive fusion of the 2 elements again to double, check the raw strength boost. Without missing a beat, the boy sinks another devastating attack coated in lightning and fires straight into the metal target. The machine immediately beeps, breaking the 3,000 point mark, leaving the young guy seriously impressed by the stats. He figures that using just a fraction of his strength with the fusion, he's already out damaging an advanced artist, even with his low vitality. His imagination runs wild, thinking about the apocalyptic power he'd unlock if he managed to fuse all 7 elements into a single strike. Pumped about the idea, the hero snuffs out the flame in his hand and decides to sprint back home to try fusing a 3rd attribute. Back on the quiet rooftop, the young guy sits down to restart his brutal and exhausting meditation session. Sweating like crazy and totally shirtless, he complains that the difficulty just spiked ridiculously and he got nowhere with the new mix. Staring at the glowing panel, Su-hong thinks leveling up the techniques might make things easier, planning to farm a ton of points in tomorrow's exam. The next day, the school courtyard is absolutely packed with every student lined up for the huge event on the field. Up on stage, the principal announces that due to the war tension, this exam is going to be different, aiming to draft the elite for a special genius camp. In the crowd, the students are gossiping with hype about the massive resources, pills, and top-tier instructors the camp is going to hand out. The cocky purple-haired kid yells that he wants the spot, while the crowd compares the camp instructors' levels to their own principals. Looking completely bored, Su-hong listens to the rules for the 3 spots and wonders if he shouldn't just grab first place and call it a day. Nearby, a guy admits they have absolutely zero chance since the rich kids mastered the thunder punch and became real martial artists. A teacher mentions the principal even brought in an advanced master to give private lessons specifically for these top talents. Staring down our MC with a smirk, the dojo rival promises to show everyone who the real genius is, hoping the newbie doesn't lose his nerve. Outside the arena, the principal walks around totally frustrated, admitting he still hasn't tracked down the 9-boom genius. Suddenly, the old man looks weirded out as a group strolls into the school courtyard. He sarcastically greets Old Lai, asking why his buddy is walking around looking like his wife just left him. The guest roasts the local student's skills and announces he brought his own disciples to embarrass the champion of this tournament. Ticked off by the blatant disrespect, the principal realizes backing down will be social suicide in front of everyone. Inside the arena, Su-hong easily knocks out his opponent with a crushing kick straight to the chest. Watching from his stands, the principal is baffled, asking where this super strong kid came from since he wasn't in his classes. The teacher in charge takes the blame for slacking while the rival Old Lee scratches his chin, thinking the boy looks awfully familiar. Flipping the vibe, the principal excitedly announces that the semi-final between the other top favorites is wrapping up in the main ring. The semi-final is intense with the 2 fighters trading fast hits. The crowd watches the brawl, saying it's impossible to guess who's going to win. With that, Chain-In channels some ice-cold energy and tells his opponent he's got zero chance if he doesn't bust out his strongest attack too. Not backing down, the other fighter charges in, slicing the air with a direct punch to clash head. On with the enemy's attack. Chun Shan praises his rival's hustle, but swears he's still the #1 guy in school while charging with a flaming fist. The stands go crazy seeing the kid project his attribute. They gossip that the fire element is second only to thunder in raw combat power. But the rival mocks the flex, asking who doesn't know how to do that right, before unleashing his own intense energy. The students instantly recognize Lu's power and realize his metal element is way stronger than fire in a direct clash. Riding the elemental advantage, the outsider completely shatters his opponent's flaming defense with a crushing attack. Chaining the combo, Lu wins up the thunder punch technique to end it all with 5 consecutive sonic booms. The electric hit catches Chun Shan dead on, slamming the poor guy violently into the arena floor. Watching it all go down, the principal regrets that the rookie hit his true strength. He's totally blown away that the kid mastered so much in just 10 days. Old Lee talks trash, saying Su-hong has no shot in the finals against his disciple, unless he also knows an orientation technique. Annoyed by the cockiness, another teacher bets 50,000 on our MC's win. Old Lee takes that easy money in a heartbeat. The announcer immediately calls the grand finale in the center ring. The masters scream from the stands, ordering their students to win at all costs. Staring down the hero, Lu claims he got super lucky they didn't cross paths earlier, already locking into his aggressive, lightning-infused stance. Completely relaxed, Su-hong drops that the regular students are just too weak, and he finally found someone worth sparing with. The outsider gets furious at the disrespect, telling the hero to settle for second place. But the kid sarcastically asks who's going to take first. Losing his mind entirely, Lee too rushes his opponent, screaming with absolute certainty that he's the real champ. He charges his electric technique to max power, claiming he only needs one single hit to show the massive power gap between them. The crowd goes into shock seeing the advanced attack pop out right to start, assuming our MC is about to get humiliatingly stumped. Showing zero signs of fear, the hero's eyes glow intensely with some truly terrifying energy. Channeling massive power into his fist, the boy steps up, determined to finally test the absolute limit of his current physical body. The students scream in panic, thinking it's absolute madness for their classmate to try and tank that lethal hit without dodging. But the 2 fighters clash violently in a crazy fast exchange of blows right in the middle of the arena, exploding a tiny opening Our MC shatters the enemy's guard, tearing through the electric defense with pure brute force. 2 is completely stunned, realizing his 5 sonic booms just got cancel-sealed out like they were absolutely nothing. With a devastating explosion, Su Hong launches his cocky rival into the air like a rag doll caught in an energy storm. Hitting the ground, totally paralyzed, the outsider feels his body wrecked and admits the kid's hits are as heavy as a literal monster's. The whole gym agrees the rookie's power is freakish for canceling an advanced technique just using raw physical strength. The principal laughs out loud in the stands, super hyped to confirm his school produced a genius with a special physical build. Swaying bullets, Ola tries to save face, arguing that raw strength isn't enough since his disciple mastered an element and still holds the upper hand. Down in the ring, Liu slides across the court, trying to find his footing after eating that ridiculous punch. Covered in intense lightning, the outsider screams at the hero to humble himself, promising he's still walking out of there with the wind. Consumed by pure hate, he charges in, tearing through the air with an aggressive attack, daring the MC to try and stop him. Looking completely bored by the threat, the boy complains his rival pulled out the hacks way too fast when he just wanted to test raw physical brawling. Deciding to stop holding back, our hero clenches his fist, summoning a golden storm of pure electrical energy all around himself. Later that day, the sunset lights up the apartment complex as the young guy walks in, telling his aunt and uncle he's finally back. His uncle greets him, hyped up, and instantly asks how the exams went. With a huge smile, the kid announces he bagged first place. The aunt can barely believe the epic win. Meanwhile, her husband celebrates, knowing this victory secures that dream spot in the special camp. But right in the middle of the family's hype celebration, some loud knocking interrupts dinner, catching the boy's attention. Opening the door, he's face to face with a super-dressed upper-rich lady standing in the hallway, looking for the owner of the house. Confused by this random visit from some snobbish socialite, the MC straight up asks her who she is. The snob explains her son placed 4th at the school, and she came personally to ask the hero to forfeit his camp spot. With the most arrogant attitude ever, she immediately tries shoving 30,000 coins into his hand to buy his ranking. Staring at this dirty bribe right on their doorstep, the vibe turns instantly heavy, and the whole family glares at the woman's audacity. Annoyed by the silent rejection, the snob tries to scare them, saying people literally die at the camp, and that quitting is actually for his own good. After spitting her toxic truth, the woman turns her back and storms down the hall, convinced she's totally right. Inside, the aunt clings to her nephew's arm, terrified, and asks if that place actually is dangerous as she said. The uncle tries to calm his wife down, telling her to take a deep breath and not fall for the arrogant rich lady's cheap talk. Staring at the kid dead serious, the older man asks if he can guarantee his own survival in this challenge. Without hesitating for even a split second, the MC shoots back a look full of confidence, locking in his promise that he's coming back alive. The uncle lightly scolds his wife for doubting the boy, stating his nephew is man enough to make his own life choices. Overwhelmed by the massive worry over the danger, the woman can't handle the pressure and runs to the bedroom, crying her eyes out. Meanwhile, outside, the snob stomps away, grumbling, hoping the kid gets eliminated from the training ASAP. Back in the simple living room, Su Hong apologizes for not warning them about the risks earlier, but his uncle says it's all good. Being super understanding, the veteran admits he's a rough guy and promises full support since the young guy knows what's best for his own future. Just then, the aunt comes back, smacking her husband for talking nonsense, and begs her nephew through tears to just focus on coming back safe. Feeling the heavy weight of that pure, genuine love, the kid flashes a chill smile and agrees with the woman's sweet concern. Later on, sitting on the edge of the roof, our hero watches the night roll in, swearing he needs to keep getting stronger to protect his precious family. Checking out his glowing system screen, he sees he's hoarded almost 300 martial points, but knows that's still nowhere near enough. Su-hong thinks to himself he has zero clue what techniques the genius is at camp use, so he decides to blow his points on upgrading his physical frame first. Immediately, the kid's body starts expanding violently, packing on absurd muscles that tear the air with a brutal red energy. Taking a deep breath as he shrinks back to normal, he watches his progress hit almost 65% and wonders what the heck comes after the max limit. Out of nowhere, the panel chimes that his orientation techniques leveled up to 2 all by themselves, leaving him totally confused about how that even happened. Analyzing the weird glitch, our hero figures that since he only trained the basics lately, his power must level up passively through natural cultivation. Pumped about this super handy discovery, he decides to speedrun the process, summoning flames and lightning in his hands to try and force another level up. The late night slowly rolls over the quiet metropolis until the first rays of morning sun start lighting up the tallest buildings. Fully locked into his intense meditation, the young fighter hits level 3, mastering the elements with a destructive aura swirling around him. Checking the final stats on his screen, he celebrates that on top of his skills leveling up, his vitality also spiked, making for a massive payout. On that same sunny morning, the travel hustle starts early right outside his humble apartment complex. Rocking his backpack, the kid listens to his uncle ordering him to bring back first place while saying his goodbyes before heading to the challenge. The couple watches their nephew walk down the quiet street, carrying the weight of all their hopes and dreams on his shoulders. The man tries to hide how sad he is to see him go, but the aunt cries, admitting she just didn't want to make the boy worry for nothing. Lugging his long bag with his spear, Suhong walks through the busy downtown streets with the absolute swagger of a true warrior. Keeping his eyes locked on the big prize, RMC keeps moving, knowing this genius camp is going to be the ultimate test of his life. Striding confidently down the streets, Suhong carries a spear heading straight for the training camp's meetup spot. Suddenly, a red sports car slams the brakes right in front of the MC, totally cutting him off. Rolling down the window, President Wu Lingxin pops out wearing shades and tells the kid to get in the ride without any small talk. They hit the open road fast, leaving the big city in the dust at top speed, heading toward the big challenge. Their destination is the massive Tianlan mountain range, a giant chain of mountains stretching across the horizon. In the back seat, some kid starts freaking out, remembering that this mountain range is home to whole packs of brutal monsters. A classmate tries to chill him out, promising the area is secure, but reminds him that the deep zones have beasts that rival grandmasters. The scene then shows off the cruel wildlife of the area, making it clear that the competition between monsters there is insanely savage. These creatures are so ridiculously aggressive that not even a rank 2 martial artist would dare step foot in their turf casually. The van rolls down a narrow dirt road, diving deeper and deeper into the thick, dark part of the woods. Hiding in the pitch black between the trees, a bunch of glowing red eyes watch the van drive by with pure killer intent. Feeling the heavy vibe, one of the students mentions they're being watched and panics, asking if they're about to get jumped right there. Instead of getting scared, Suhong figures the competition between the geniuses is going to be just as savage as the monsters and thinks the whole setup is awesome. A little while later, the squad finally pulls up to the massive fenced-off military camp that's already packed with competitors from all over. Hopping out of the ride, the hero checks out the crowd of talented kids, wondering what everybody's actual power level is. The training zone is flooded with prodigies, all dripping with confidence and carrying heavy weapons for the tournament. Faced with so many hardcore rivals, the MC's classmates gulp, feeling the crushing pressure of this brutal competition. On the flip side, the young fighter gets hyped, thinking it's great to have so many strong opponents packed into one spot. Wasting no time, he adjusts the spear on his shoulder and tells his group to join the crowd in the center of the evaluation courtyard. His classmates hesitantly agree and follow the hero's confident steps right into the main staging area. Just ahead, a suited supervisor announces they're just waiting for everyone to arrive before kicking off the entry exam. The delay makes some rookies annoyed, complaining that rich kids from big families always think they can make everyone else wait for nothing. Out of nowhere, the loud roar of engines rips through the camp as a convoy of luxury cars rolls in to steal the spotlight. Pricey rides park in the dirt, and the absolute superstars of the tournament start stepping out with crazy swagger. 3 teens steal the show, flexing their overwhelming telekinesis, ice, and fire powers, leaving the whole crowd totally in awe. Rocking an aura of absolute superiority, the trio walks through the yard, making the crowd naturally part the sea just out of pure respect. The MC watches the rich kids roll through super carefully, easily recognizing that this elite squad are the heavy favorites. Sizing up the trio, our hero remembers the president's warnings and gets curious to see firsthand just how tough these prodigies really are. Big stars finally here. The supervisor steps up to the podium to drop the basic rules for the entry test. He states with a booming voice that the actual camp is located 30 kilometers deep into the forest. The guy holds up a wooden badge, revealing that the entry passes have been hidden inside the stomachs of the local beasts. The news hits the weaker students like a truck, completely terrifying them with the massive risk of dying while hunting high monsters to pass. Staying totally chill, Suhong runs the math and realizes he'll have tons of spare time to drop beasts and rack up crazy martial points. A panicked kid asks what happens if they run into a ridiculously strong monster, only to get the cold truth that nobody is coming to save them. The courtyard turns into pure chaos with kids screaming that the rules are unfair and based entirely on dumb luck. Having zero patience for the whining, the suit glares at them and yells that the real world isn't some child's play. He roasts the cowards, throwing it in their faces that survival of the fittest demands caution and reminding them that the strong always eat the weak on the battlefield. Dripping with disrespect, the examiner points to the gate, telling anyone scared of dying to just quit right now. One guy takes it personally and threatens to fight, but the supervisor dares the punk, promising to him if he takes one more step forward. Going back to the rules, the man states that fighting is banned at the base. But once they're in the mountain, there will be absolutely zero intervention. Knowing the forest is basically the Wild West, the more aggressive hunters immediately start exchanging shady looks, aiming to rob the weaker candidates. Su-hong catches the sketchy vibe and totally understands the exam system was literally designed to cause fights and weed out half the crowd. Pumped for the chance to beat up some bullies, our hero counts on the insane amount of marshal points he can farm by taking them down. The supervisor aggressively clicks his stopwatch and kicks off the exam immediately, telling them all to get out of sight. A desperate mob takes off, sprinting toward the dense woods, trampling each other in a crazy rush to survive. Flexing his extreme agility, our hero slides super fast through the tree trunks, leaving the rest of the candidates eating his dust. Deep in the woods, some clueless candidate takes a violent lightning-fast smack to the head in a super cowardly sneak attack. Su-hong stands holding a piece of wood over two knocked-out rich kids, giving them a taste of their own medicine for looking down on normal students. Back in the monitor room, the evaluators are scratching their heads, watching some unknown kid easily drop two aggressive fighters. The head of security just crosses his arms and says to let the test keep running since the defeated rookies didn't scream for help. Sprawled out on the dirty forest floor, one of the suits cries in agony, holding his bruised head from the brutal wooden smack. Still dizzy, the guy gets a massive jump scare when a piece of wood aggressively flies by, barely missing his face. While the snob swears heavy revenge for the disrespect, our MC is already busy sinking a brutal electric punch into a monster. The suit gets up brushing off the dirt and tries to excuse the embarrassment, claiming he only lost that bad because he underestimated the kid. His squad mate walks over looking shaken, and the two share a long look completely full of rage and bitterness over the lightning-fast beatdown. Swallowing his pride, the partner owns up to the massive mistake and admits the mystery newbie is actually way stronger than he looked. Determined not to let it slide, the suit backs his buddy up, promising to grab that exact same piece of wood to get payback on the cocky kid. But catching the target is basically impossible now as our hero kicks it into overdrive, sprinting like a blur through the green trails. Suddenly, a massive noise shatters the natural quiet of the thick jungle, instantly grabbing the curious kid's attention. He slams the brakes where he bumps into yet another massive herd of wild boars. Super annoyed at running into the same boring beasts over and over. The boar rocking giant,